Oh hey, it's that guy from... Oh, The Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon is the final game in the Legend of Spyro trilogy, and technically the last new Spyro game in the series to this day, if you don't count the Reignited trilogy, because, you know, it's a remake. Yeah, that's right, the last new Spyro game came out in 2008, which was about 17 years ago. And before you type in the comments, no, I don't consider Skylanders a Spyro game. It's a game with Spyro in it. You wouldn't call Super Smash Bros. A Mario game, would you? Now, last time in the Eternal Night, we saw that Spyro had sealed himself, Cynder and Sparx in a crystal while the Dark Master Malefor escaped and began his conquest. Dawn of the Dragon takes place 3 years later. A group of Grublins, Malefor's new servants, have entered the Well of Souls to free Spyro and Cynder. I don't know why they didn't just leave them there, but they attach a snake chain around their necks, which binds them together for the rest of the game. Spyro and Cynder wake up to find themselves in the middle of an arena surrounded by crumbling ruins and lava, about to be sacrificed to something called an Earth Golem. I don't know why Malefor thought this Earth Golem would be powerful enough to destroy them, but hey, everyone makes mistakes. The two dragons work together to escape and bump into Hunter, who makes his first proper appearance in the trilogy. He's been sent by Ignitus to find and rescue our heroes. By the way, you might notice that Spyro and Cynder have aged up a bit since last time. I don't think anyone in the game acknowledges it, which is a bit weird, but I think their designs are good. Étranges Libellules, the developers, who I really hope I've pronounced correctly, were tasked by Sierra Entertainment, the producers, with creating more grown-up Spyro and Cynder designs for gameplay and tone reasons. Wait a minute, hang on a second. Étranges Libellules? Who are they? Where's Chrome Studios? Okay, I couldn't actually find a definitive reason for the change in developers, but I do know that Chrome Studios released Star Wars: The Force Unleashed in 2008, so it could have been that they accepted that job instead of Dawn of the Dragon. Or maybe Sierra didn't want Chrome Studios back after the mixed reception to both The New Beginning and The Eternal Night. Either way, we now have a completely different developer tasked with finishing the story that Chrome Studios started. Étranges Libellules was a French team responsible for games like Arthur and the Invisibles and Asterix and Obelix XXL, a natural fit for the final game in the Legend of Spyro trilogy. So, how well did development go? According to an artist who worked there on their art station, it was one of the worst productions they'd experienced, to the point where they didn't want to talk about it much. What they did say is that the game engine was so old that the render was broken, and it was decided to crank up the bloom. The studio didn't even have an art director, so all final decisions were made by the studio manager. This is probably why Cynder looks like she has a purple sheen at times, despite the fact that she's supposed to be a black dragon. It was difficult to get the textures right because the engine was so balked. Alright, so the production was a bit of a nightmare. But look, Spyro and Cynder can fly now. This is one of the biggest features they introduced. By pressing the jump button 3 times, the two dragons can fly above the ground for an unlimited time. It's a nice bit of freedom, but also not really, because you're restricted in how high you can go. You can hold the jump button to land, but you can't really go up. You can press the jump button while flying to flap Spyro or Cynder's wings, and that speeds up traversal slightly, but it can also make them go higher in certain situations, I think. I say I think because no matter how long I played this game for, I never figured it out for sure. The flying in this game is very finicky, and if it sounds overly complicated, that's because it is. Don't know why they couldn't simplify it. Still, it's a feature that I enjoyed, despite the jank, and there's one part of the game that stuck with me after all these years. The Valley of Avalar. This is a section where you can explore a large area next to Hunter's village, and it plays the theme of A New Beginning in the background. This is one of the most magical moments, not just in this game, but in any game that I've played. And while it didn't hit as hard for me now as it did back then, it was still just so beautiful to experience. You might also be wondering why I keep mentioning Spyro and Cynder in the same sentences. Well, because they're both chained together, you can play as either one whenever you want. By pressing the L2 button, or the equivalent on your console of choice, you can switch characters instantly. The most modern version of this I can think of is the LEGO games by Traveller's Tales, so imagine that, but with dragons. Imagine dragons. I love this feature. It really opens up the game in a way that wasn't possible in A New Beginning or The Eternal Night. They both have different breath types as well. Spyro has access to fire, ice, electricity and earth, as usual, while Cynder has access to venom, fear, wind, and darkness. That means you can use 8 breath types instead of 4, all the way up to the final boss. They have pretty cool effects too. Fear breath causes enemies to cower in place, wind breath moves them around, electric breath disarms them and destroys shields, fire breath can obviously set them on fire. It's good stuff, really entertaining. Now, going into this game again, I was aware that some people had problems with the chain mechanic. For me, it wasn't too much of a problem. The dragon you're not playing as usually spawns right next to you if you move too far away, unless you've left them hanging onto a climbing section or they're holding an adamantine orb. The game explicitly tells you at the very beginning of the game that holding an adamantine orb will restrict flying, so always keep that in mind. These orbs are used to solve puzzles, so you'll need to figure out a way to bring them to their destination where they will be able to unlock doors, things like that. Naturally, if both Spyro and Cynder are holding adamantine orbs, they're both going to be restricted in how they fly, so if you want my advice, don't do it. Carry one orb at a time and you'll be okay, and make sure you're playing as the dragon that has the orb in their mouth. I've seen people on YouTube complain about the chain mechanic while showing footage of both dragons holding these extremely heavy objects. Just don't do it. Where the chain does become a problem, potentially, is in co-op. The whole game can be played with 2 people and it's not split screen, so both players will be sharing the same real estate. That means that if they want to go in different directions, they won't be able to, and the chain will pull them together. I imagine that could get frustrating. I've never played this game in co-op myself, and I never plan to, but hey, at least the feature is there, even if it's not perfectly executed. Let's talk about the combat now. Because of the 2 main characters situation, Dawn of the Dragon has a completely new combat system that's much closer to God of War. In fact, this whole game is strikingly similar to God of War, even to the point where it has quick time events. But combat is where I felt Kratos' influence the most. For a start, you actually have a block. Finally! Spyro and Cynder can use their wings as a shield, which is a nice throwback to Enter the Dragonfly in A Hero's Tale. Also, by blocking and moving the left stick at the same time, they can dodge, Kratos style. Attacking is formed of light attacks, heavy attacks and grabs, and you can chain different combos together. There are so many options compared to the previous games, which is great. It is slower though, and attacking enemies in the air is much less effective than it was before, and much less accurate. Everything just feels a bit loose. Enemies can also get very spongy towards the end of the game, which is tiring because it just means more button mashing. But on the other hand, there seems to be more variety than the previous games because you're not just fighting apes. In fact, the only time you see apes in this game is when they turn up as undead monstrosities. Lovely. Like God of War, the camera pulls far back so you can see what's coming, but it's not always cooperative. Sometimes the camera is fixed, with you only being able to nudge it slightly left and right. Other times, you're allowed to spin the camera without restriction, but it can change on a whim, and sometimes the camera will face in the complete opposite direction to where you want to go. I can't tell you how much that frustrated me. There was even a time where I knew a collectible was on a ledge below me, but I couldn't move the camera to see where I should drop off. This is by far the worst thing in the game. It was fighting against me at every turn. But you know what I did really like? The increased focus on puzzle solving and exploration. The game has various collectibles to find, including red life crystals and green magic crystals, which are, you guessed it, extremely similar to health and magic upgrades in God of War. Collect 5 of them and Spyro or Cynder's health on magic bar will increase. Well, actually it's not that simple. Spyro only requires 4 life crystals to upgrade, and Cynder only needs 4 magic crystals. I think this is a way to differentiate the characters, making Spyro more easily beefed up and Cynder quicker to use her breath for longer periods. But in reality, it doesn't really make much of a difference. You can also find blue crystals that give out experience points, which can then be used to upgrade breath abilities like previous games. Every time you upgrade a breath, that dragon gets a fury crystal that goes towards upgrading the fury attack. There's only one fury attack here, which is disappointing, but also understandable given the style of the game. They basically just unleash powerful, dark beams of energy that can demolish any enemy in seconds. It is cool, but not as cool as the fury attacks in A New Beginning or the Eternal Night. The last type of collectible is armor. That's right, actual wearable armor. There are 3 sets per dragon, and you'll find individual pieces in chests like this. Each piece of armor has a unique ability, so you can mix and match to whatever you feel most comfortable with. If you wear all pieces of armor in a particular set, you'll get a special bonus. I've got to say, Spyro and Cynder look pretty awesome in armor. It's something I never knew I wanted until I saw it for myself. The puzzles and platforming to get these collectibles is varied and involves making smart use of the snake chain. For example, you can have one dragon lie down on a movable platform and have the other pull them along. Spyro and and Cynder can also climb on certain surfaces and wall run off them, which is a bit stiff admittedly, but a cool idea nonetheless. If you miss a collectible, you can go back to previous chapters from the main menu at any time. That's a big improvement over the Eternal Night, which forced you to go into New Game Plus if you wanted to get any missing collectibles. Dawn of the Dragon also introduces elite enemies, which are mini boss fights scattered across the game. You have to go out of your way to find them, but when you do, each one has a mask that can be destroyed by a certain breath type. Until you destroy the mask, you won't be able to harm them with normal attacks. These enemies can hit really hard, so I recommend coming back to some of them later after you've grown a bit stronger. Once you beat them, you'll get a bunch of experience points. The soundtrack was composed by Rebecca Newble and Gabriel Mann, same as the last two games. Got that same cinematic quality, and it even plays tracks from A New Beginning and The Eternal Night, which is a nice touch because it feels like it's tying everything up with a nice little bow. I've already mentioned how the visuals were balked on a technical level, but you know what? Despite that, I think the game looks good for an early PS3 360 game. Yes, there is a lot of bloom, but it's still a colourful game with an ethereal magical quality that's well suited to the Spyro series. Also, yes, this is the first and only Spyro game available on the PS3 and 360. You can get it on the PS2 and Wii as well, but I played the PS3 version for this video. And then there's the voice acting.
Hey, Spyro! Man, you're alive!
Sparx! It's good to see you too. You okay?
You know, a little stiff. Voice keeps changing, but I'm good.
Yeah, so Sparx is voiced by Wayne Brady in this game. Why they couldn't keep Billy West, I have no idea, but I like that they turned it into a gag. I actually love how Wayne Brady sounds here. His Sparx isn't too obnoxious, and there's a part towards the end that actually got me a little emotional, I won't lie. Spyro is voiced by Elijah Wood, of course, and he does just as good of a job as usual. He's one of those actors who transitioned really well into voice acting, but as much as it pains me, I can't say the same about Cynder's voice actress, Christina Ricci.
This reunion is really touching and everything, but shouldn't we be going? Unless you want to wait for that thing to climb back up. I hate to think what it might do to Sparx.
It just sounds like she read her lines from the script without enough emotion, which is not really what you want, especially with some pivotal moments later in the game. On the other hand, Gary Oldman is back as Ignitus, and I think it's his best performance so far.
Ignitus.
Young dragon, you never cease to amaze me.
We never lost hope that you would return. Ignitus made sure of that.
I should have come back sooner. I let you all down. But that won't happen again.
Spyro, you've done more than anyone could expect of a dragon your age. What matters now is that you are here, and what's more, you've returned with your companions.
He doesn't sound like he's about to fall asleep, and he actually managed to bring a tear to my eye later in the game. There's also Kevin Michael Richardson as Terrador, who does a great job, and Blair Underwood as Hunter, who sounds badass.
Spyro, Cynder, how do you feel? Anything broken?
Shaken a little, but not too badly. Thanks to you.
I am relieved. I had feared I might be too late. My name is Hunter.
Quite the change from this guy, but there's one other big cast member who's new to the series, Mark Hamill, and he gets to play Malefor himself. You might not notice though, because they changed his voice so much that you can barely hear what he's saying.
Citizens of Warfang, congratulations. You shall be the first to witness the resurrection of the Destroyer and the end of the world.
Malefor.
Why did they do that? Why did they hire Mark Hamill of all people if they were just going to make his voice unrecognizable? It makes no sense to me. But okay, let's get into spoiler territory now because we need to talk about the rest of the plot. This is the final game in the trilogy after all. We've got to see how it ends. First of all, I'll sum up Dawn of the Dragon by saying it's a decent game. My favourite in the trilogy, even though it still has janky aspects that will probably frustrate new players. The extra puzzles and exploration combined with the expanded combat are fun overall, and the fact that it also wraps up the story is enough for me to recommend it if you've played and enjoyed the first two games. So now let's talk about the plot. If you want to hop off here, that's totally fine. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, here we go. Spyro, Cynder, Sparx and Hunter journey to Dragon City where they help out the local moles and reunite with the guardian dragons. Malefor contacts them and tells them that he's awakened the Destroyer, a being who will completely break apart the planet and reshape it into something new. The heroes work together to stop it by flooding a valley with water from a dam and attacking the Destroyer head on, but it's not enough. Spyro, Cynder and Ignitus head towards Malefor's lair, the barrier to which has been weakened, while Sparx stays behind to help Hunter evacuate everyone in Dragon City to an underground tunnel network. He wants to stay with Spyro initially, but Spyro convinces him to help Hunter.
Oh, come on, it doesn't sound so bad. We've been through worse, right?
Sparx? You can't come with me.
What? But I always go with you.
Spyro was right. You wouldn't survive in there.
You need to make sure the others reach the underground city in time. You've been there before. You can guide them.
It's important, Sparx.
But you need me.
Right now, there are others that need you more.
Cynder, you have to promise me you will look after him. We've been through a lot together.
I promise.
Be careful, Sparx.
Hey, it's me. Being careful is all I know.
When the three dragons reach the weakened barrier, Ignitus sacrifices himself to let Spyro and Cynder through.
Ignitus, let's turn back. There's got to be another way.
Spyro, Cynder, I have never done right by either of you. Allow me to do this.
What are you saying?
My path ends here, but yours lies beyond this. Draw strength from each other and follow your heart. It will never fail you. Now go. Go.
Spyro is devastated by this, and when Cynder tells him to let go, he doesn't take it well.
Spyro, let it go. No, Spyro, don't.
You can't stop.
You're right. Only you can do that. Please, Spyro, don't do this.
But Spyro does calm down. Cynder tells him that he's not alone, and they both head into Malefor's territory. After travelling through the Burning Lands, which has a massive difficulty spike by the way, they reach Malefor's floating fortress and come face to face with him. He reveals to Spyro that he wasn't actually the first purple dragon. There have been others before him, and their destiny has always been to destroy and reshape the world. Spyro refuses to believe it, and it's not actually clear if Malefor's telling the truth here or not. Malefor says that Cynder lured Spyro to the Well of Souls on purpose and wanted to free Malefor, and he even enthralls her, making her attack Spyro. It doesn't work though, because Spyro easily brings her back to the light through the power of love.
Why won't you fight back?
Because you've left me nothing to fight for.
There's always something.
So be it.
Malefor decides to end things once and for all, and the final battle begins. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome. Sure, Malefor isn't as massively powerful as he was made out to be in the previous games, but I think that might be the point. In the end, he's just another purple dragon like Spyro, but one with delusions of grandeur. After an epic fight, Spyro and Cynder force him to land on this massive purple crystal at the heart of the planet, which holds the spirits of dead dragons. Those spirits grab hold of Malefor and pull him inside, trapping him for eternity. Or at least I assume it's eternity. It seems pretty definitive to me. As the world breaks apart, Ignitus appears in spirit form to let Spyro know that all dragons become one with nature after dying, offering hope for the future, which gives Spyro the strength and the realization to do what must be done.
Spyro, when a dragon dies, he does not truly leave this world. His spirit lives on, binding itself with nature, offering hope for the future.
I know what I need to do. Just get out of here, Cynder.
Spyro, no. You don't have to do anything. Let's just go.
Where, Cynder? There'll be nothing left. The world is breaking apart. But I think I can stop it. I think I'm meant to.
Then I'm with you.
Cynder decides to stay with him, and because he's a purple dragon, Spyro instinctively conjures enough power to bind himself with the heart of the world and bring everything back together. Oh yeah, and Cynder confesses her love for him. That's the thing that happens. After saving the world, Spyro and Cynder aren't seen again, but something's not quite right. The Chronicler, once again played by Martin Jarvis, has been trying to find the latest page of Spyro's story, which should have automatically been recorded if he was truly gone. But he says to Ignitus' spirit that he can't find it. He tells Ignitus that a new age is beginning and it needs a new chronicler, so he fades away and passes the mantle to Ignitus. Ignitus wonders where Spyro is, and it cuts to a nice little scene of Spyro and Cynder flying about somewhere, enjoying life. They'll probably head back to their friends eventually, but for now, it seems like they're just taking a well-earned break from everything. And there you go, that's the end of The Legend of Spyro. It's not the most original ending, but it does at least wrap everything up in a mostly satisfying way. Malefor is fully defeated, Spyro saves the world, and he and Cynder finally find happiness. And Ignitus gets his Obi-Wan moment, so good for him. Overall, I think The Legend of Spyro is a bit of a mixed bag, but I would be lying if I said I hadn't enjoyed returning to it after all these years. I'll always be a fan of classic Spyro first and foremost, but there's a certain charm to this trilogy, especially now that it's all wrapped up and we can look back at it as a complete package. It's definitely unique, and I'm not surprised that there are an increasing number of fans that grew up this series that look back on it with fondness. Maybe one day we'll get a remastered trilogy. Who knows what the future holds? But that's it from me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future uploads. Smash the like button and let me know in the comments what you thought. Have a great day or night, wherever or whenever you are, and I will see you next time.